Step 7. Turning bag and lining right side out. Press. Slip stitch opening closed. Insert lining into bag. Top stitch close to upper edge of bag. I have gone ahead and trimmed this seam to 1/4 inch. I am now going to use that hole in the lining to pull through the outside of the bag. There's no special way to do this besides just grabbing and pulling until you are completely turned right side out. Make sure you pull all the way through. The lining will also flip. Go ahead and put your fingers in to pop out the corners of the lining and also the corners of the bag. This is the best time to do this because you'll have the most access to it. The lining will get pushed inside the bag. So you now have the outside of your bag with the finished lining. We are now going to go ahead and press the top of this so that we can have a nice crease before we do our final stitch, which is the top stitch. When you do this, you want to make sure that that seam is on the top. We do not want to see the lining when we're looking at it from the front. You are going to go ahead and press this all the way around. You're going to put the bag over the nose of the ironing board. This is going to allow you to move the bag more freely. Make sure that you have a nice seam on top where you do not see the lining coming through. Use the steam to set that in. Move the bag around to continue this. Make sure that the lining and the bag seam are all the way at the top. This is very similar to when you did the handles. You are going to be pulling that seam out so you have a nice straight line all the way around. This step is important and will help you stitch because you will not need pins on this because the ironing will hold it into place for you. Once you are finished, you are going to see a great difference in the way that the bag stands because of this seam on the top. You can see that now the lining is held inside, which is a nice line around the top. You are going to do a top stitch, which is the stitch length of 3.5 all the way around the top, similar to the way that you sewed the two pieces together. You're going to start your top stitch at the seam so that your back stitch will be at the seam and not in the middle. You are going to line up your presser foot with the edge, and this is going to be a 3.5 length stitch. Go ahead and start. Keep it nice and even all the way around the top. This is going to hold that lining down so that it won't flip up. This is a visible stitch, so you want to make sure it's nice and straight. It is a decorative stitch, so people will be looking at it. Always bring that material around so that you have that nice surface to work with. Making sure that you are not sewing the front of the bag together. I am I'm just steering, allowing the machine to pull the material forward. We're going to be coming up to where we started. Your back stitch will be in the same spot, so it won't be as noticeable. Back stitch. When you are done, the top stitch will look like this. This is your tote bag. There are a couple steps left to do. One of them is to attach the button. The other optional step is to attach the handles to the bag. To do this, you would stitch up on the stitch line that is already there. This is optional. You do not have to do that. If you want them to hang free, that is okay. And then the final step is to close that hole in the lining that you used to turn the bag right side out. We'll be doing a slip stitch to complete that. Once those 3 steps are done, your tote bag is complete.